to order. Oh, I like to call a meeting to order. And the first item is the Pledge of Allegiance.
Cripe.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. The next is public comments. Do we have any members of the public with us tonight? No, I don't see any. So I guess we'll skip over that. Reports. Wait a minute. Where's the minutes?
Under secretary. Oh, number 4.
Oh, approve the minutes. Thank you. All right. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes?
Yes,
Yeah.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes presented.
I have one
Second.
small correction. if that's
Whoopsie.
okay. Just under 3 under the director's report, longtime library tech Laura Roman, it's Lori Roman, Lauri. Other than that, great. Nice job, Catherine.
Could we have a motion to accept the minutes with the correction?
I so move.
Is there a
I'll second
second?
that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Well,
Aye.
we haven't,
Sorry?
oh, shoot. Well, you jumped through quickly with one correction and
You have more?
well, I have a question on 7-1,
Okay.
strategic plan committee. It says novice and I think it should say novice. 7.3, I mean, under
7.3.
technology.
7.3. Novus?
I believe it should say novice and not novice. I think that's the company. Is Donna
Novus
Lambs
is our,
the-
I am, Novus is our IT support company, so that's correct. And it's Novus.
Oh,
Right.
so that is spelled wrong.
No. Yes,
It's
it's spelled wrong in the
NOVUS?
minutes. It said novice in the minutes,
It says novice.
and it should be novus.
Okay. We have 2 amendments then. Could I have a motion to amend? Oh my God. To amend the motion to include the new amendment? Oh my God. Can I start over again? That was terrible. Okay, can I have a new motion to accept the minutes with the correction that Kevin made and the correction that Ms. Foote made? May I have does someone make that motion?
So
I'll
move.
make that. Okay.
Okay, second.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? I believe it was unanimous. Okay, we're moving on to the financial report.
Okay, so financial report. For the most part, everything's looking pretty good. As I brought up last month, we're a little bit ahead on the part-time payroll line. So it says percent spent 79%, which should probably be more like 75%. So I spoke with town manager and the head of finance about this to let them know that we're doing our best to get down to stay under budget, but there's a chance we might go over a little bit. And they said just to keep them in the loop, and we, as you know, as long as we should be able to cover it under the rest of our budget, it's okay to go a little bit over. So you know, not tremendously worried about it because we'll have a little bit of extra funds to be able to cover if we do go over, but we're also working to get down there. Just for your information, under library materials, how it just says there's 52% of the line item spent. And as we are, you know, 3/4 of the way through the year, there's a couple of larger purchases that happen towards the end of the year. So things like, you know, we pay for Hoopla and Canopy all at once in one chunk. And I usually do that towards the end of the year. So we're more on track with that than it looks. And then also down under an 016 towards the bottom of the page here, where it says under computer technology, there's the negative $1,500, and that's the PO for the 3D printer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I was wondering for the library grants program, why is that shown as a negative number?
Because it's done through like each fiscal year. So we received the grant funds for the ARPA grant, for instance, that almost $17,000. We got that last fiscal year.
Mhm.
So all we're showing this year are debits.
Okay.
So it drives it underneath zero.
Okay.
And I have a different question. Up near the top, the miscellaneous administrative expenses. It says we've spent 56% and we have 0 uncommitted. But then we do have an encumbrance. Now, how do we read that? Is that because the encumbrance or whatever, there's something there, must be committed, isn't it?
Yeah, it's committed. So, the balance is probably a better line item, a better thing to look at than the uncommitted balance. So the encumbrance just means it's something I'm planning on purchasing, but the bill hasn't happened yet. So,
Oh,
for instance, at the beginning of the year, I encumber all the funds that I'm going to pay, like the pest control people and the trash people. So even though it looks like it looks like a lot of the budget is gone because uncommitted balance goes way down, the money hasn't actually left the account yet. So that last $221.70, I have committed. I think that may be towards pamphlets, if I'm remembering correctly.
Thank you.
did anyone else have any questions? If not, we'll move on to the next line item, which is the report by the library director.
Okay. So Maple Fest took place on the 19th and 20th. And I thought it went very well. So we were open during Saturday, our normal hours on the 19th, and only open on the first floor for the 20th, like we discussed. So the event reports that about 7,300 people came between the 2 days, and Sunday was the busier day because the weather was nicer. The library gate counter estimated 2,247 people came through our doors. That's likely an undercount because I noticed there was a big banner stuck in front of it at one point that I had to move aside. So we had a good amount of traffic coming through the building on both days, but wasn't any issues the day we were open. Staff was never overwhelmed. People were lots of compliments on how nice the building looks. The janitorial staff did a good job of keeping the building presentable. And I would say the only, damage that happened is just that the landing of the staircase down into the basement looks a little bit muddy, but it was muddy one day and we had 1,000 people come through. So that's just going to happen. So I think I'd do the same thing next year, with maybe a few alterations, and I would probably consider keeping the library open till 4 just to actually match Maple Fest's hours. But we'll think about it a little bit more when we get there. I thought it was a big success. I was very happy with how it went. I went ahead and I purchased the 3D printer as we discussed in March. So we'll be receiving a Prusa MK3S, actually MK3S Plus in a few weeks. I've already received a multicolor printing add-on that goes with it. And then I've sent the other 3D printer out for repair. I don't know when that's going to be coming back yet, but I do know that they've received it at the repair facility. The Friends of the Library sponsored a year of a new streaming video service, so Biblioplus. I think I talked about this a little bit a few months ago. So this is an unlimited streaming video option that just gives patrons access to watch movies as many times as they want. It covers a lot of the same ground as Canopy does in terms of the type of movies that are on there, but it definitely pushes more towards art films and documentaries and foreign films. And the catalog is a little on the smaller side, but growing big, but this is the model that I would like to have in the future. So we'll see how it goes with this year. They're giving us a good deal on the service because we're an early adopter. And if it does really well, then I would consider replacing Canopy with it. If not, we can keep going the route that we're going, and it'll just be a nice experiment that the friends helped us do.
Is that something you can get by just going on to the library site?
Yeah, we're not set up for it just yet.
Okay.
We're still working on the authentication stuff. But once you do it, there'll be a link on the library website. You'll have to put in your library card the first time to create an account, and then you'll be set to go. They have,
Okay.
you know, they've got apps to put on your TV, all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I go on the site, I won't find it yet.
Not just yet, no.
Okay, cool.
The library joined the Palace Project, which is the latest iteration of the state's ebook and e-audio library. So they have their own dedicated app, and there's a series of titles that are shared with the whole state. I talked about this maybe a year ago when we joined Ego, which is what they were calling the service at the time. This is kind of the next step of that. And there's a lot of good stuff on there right now, and there's a lot of stuff that's very accessible. I think because a lot of patrons aren't using the service yet. You have to opt into the service, so a lot of libraries aren't on there yet. But it looks like it's nice. Eventually, they're going to be able to port over all of the materials that we own in Libby. So they also show up in this app as well. So that could be very exciting. So people don't have to like jump back and forth service to service. We'll see how it goes. They're doing a good job pushing forward. So that's kind of an exciting thing. Also on that same topic, Overdrive is in the process of rebranding as Libby. So Libby is the app, Overdrive is the company, and they're kind of just going to be going under the Libby name at some point in the future. So I'm just trying to use it instead to get used to that.
Are we set up for the Palace Project yet?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
So I have a new services pamphlet printed up. I've had one printed up to match the library volunteer pamphlet we made up for Maple Fest, and we also updated some outdated information. The packet gives a general overview of what we offer the community, and it'll be given out as part of new patron folders and just be available around the building. MA gave me a hand with it, and I think it's in your packet right after the report. I think it came out pretty good.
It looks good.
What color? I'm sorry, Kevin, what color is it? Is
What color is it? It's green and blue.
that what that is? Okay.
Yeah, those are the colors I've been trying to lean on for like branding. Because those are our website colors. So for when I do the newsletter and when I've been making printed materials, I've been trying to lean on green, blue, yellow, white, gray.
Classy,
Looks good, Kevin.
Thanks, Peter.
very classy.
Easy to read. Yeah,
Yes, it is. I
Yeah.
like the typeface too. It's really nice.
yeah.
I'm glad. So I ordered 1,000 of them. You know, stuff in this packet are going to be the things that are going to go out of date quicker than other pamphlets. So I figure once we get through those, we'll just reevaluate, maybe make a couple of changes, and then order another 1,000 if we need to. Okay, and so Bibliomation is rolling out a new patron catalog in mid-May. There's a few aesthetic changes, but nothing too dramatic. The major thing is that it just works better in mobile browsers than it does before. So they also put out a pamphlet. So I printed out, 25 or 30 of these and placed them around the building for patrons that are interested. But for the most part, I don't think anybody's really going to skip a step. They're just going to see it, they'll figure it out pretty quickly. So it'll happen mid-May. 3 of our part-time LTAs will be attending the Connecticut Library Association annual conference in Hartford. That happens the first week of May. So they're very excited about it. They're all going together on the Wednesday, and they have a schedule of different events that they're going to be attending. And then they're going to be presenting to the rest of the staff tips and things that they're learning at the conference when they're there.
Have they gone before, or is this?
No, they haven't. There's been very little interest in going to the annual conference among library staff in general. So, 3 is probably one more than I generally would have liked to send, but because there was so much enthusiasm and they wanted to go as a group, I found the extra money to spend to send the third person. But yeah, nobody's gone before since I've been director. I had somebody watch a couple of virtual things last year, but a lot easier to watch a virtual presentation than to actually drive down to Hartford.
Yeah.
The website was down between April 4th and 5th with a malware issue. Novus Insight rolled the site back to a previous version to get it up and running. Everything seems like it's functioning correctly now. We changed some of our passwords, but we're not exactly sure what happened. And they're just keeping an eye on it to make sure that everything's updated and that we're protected from anything happening in the future. The Hebron Lions have invited us to their annual night of giving on April 20th, which is always nice. And as I mentioned last month, we're participating in the Passport to Connecticut Libraries program this month. So we've been getting a good amount of patrons from other libraries visiting here to get our stamps and prizes. So patrons can pick up passports and they get a stamp at our library. And then there's a list of other participating libraries in the state. To get 5 stamps, you enter into a drawing for one of their prizes. So everybody's been very nice and, complimentary of our space, and it's been nice to see new faces in here too. So that's my report. Any questions on anything there?
Who's going to the night of giving with you?
Oh, I'm just going on my own.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Have you been before?
We
Yeah, I've
discussed
been-
that last year.
Sorry, say that again.
We discussed that last year, I believe, and suggested that someone else should go also, at least representing the library or the trustees or whatever.
If somebody would like to attend with me, I think that's fine. I would just let them know. But yeah, other organizations do sometimes have a board member present.
I'm
kind of
sorry.
interested just to see what it's like.
Good, I was
but
wondering
if
what
someone
it
else-
is. I'm sorry.
Well, I know what it is, but I just haven't attended one. But if maybe our president should go, or our chair, maybe that might be
I don't
better.
even know what it is.
Oh,
Well, the Lions give out money. That's the night they give out money to organizations.
Okay,
Yeah, so it's just
And they have
kind of,
a dinner.
it's been downgraded from a dinner to more just like cake and coffee and stuff, right? Because of the pandemic.
did I hear
But yeah,
cake? I'm sorry.
you can have cake, sure. You can have
No,
my slice too. I can't have it. But yeah, you hear a lot of organizations speak. All of us get up for 3 minutes and talk about the donation and that we appreciate it and what we're going to do with it. And they usually give us $1,000.
Oh. Kevin, what night of the week is that?
I believe it's a Wednesday.
it is Wednesday.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cannot
Wednesday.
go. I have class on that night. So if somebody else would like to go. Volunteers, don't jump all up at once.
Well, I'm interested.
Okay, Althea,
to see
you
what it's
are,
like.
you're drafted.
Yeah. If somebody else would, really want to go, just let me know. I'll
That's
step
okay.
aside. Right.
Okay, so far it's Althea. I'm sorry that I can't go. Because I would like to see the event because I've never been to it before. Did anyone else have any questions about the director's report? Hearing none, we're moving on to the Friends of the Douglas Library.
Yeah, we don't have a representative again, although I did touch
Yeah, I just
base
noticed.
with Pam, and she said she's going to start coming back to the meetings. She's had a conflict, I think, the last few, but she is aware that she hasn't been in a little while. Yeah, they had a meeting and they approved the funding for Biblioplus, and they also sold items throughout Maplefest, just on Saturday. They set up upstairs next to their boutique as opposed to downstairs with the rest of the vendors, and they were very happy to do that instead of moving all their things out.
How is their book sale?
They did fairly well. I think it was slow at first, and then by the end of it, they had sold everything that they put on. They kind of spread out to the two shorter shelves across underneath the window. And those were covered in Easter baskets, and that was all empty by the end of the day. So I think they were happy with how much they sold. I'm sure if the weather was like it was on Sunday, they would have done better. But they liked that they didn't need to have so many volunteers and worry about staffing everything for the weekend. And that they also just didn't have to move as many things because they're already set up in that space.
Any other questions regarding the Friends? Okay, next is the town manager representative.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Donna.
Hi, just a couple quick things. And I think, I'm not sure if we reported this last month or not, but the Board of Selectmen regarding COVID and virtual meetings, the Board of Selectmen themselves are going to stay virtual for the time being. They're going to reconsider it or take another look at it probably early summer. But for now, they feel it's best to stay virtual. And they like the convenience for residents to attend virtual meetings. It's more convenient than having to get in the car and go to a meeting. But for other boards and commissions, it's up to each individual board and commission how they want to format their meetings. And some are going to probably choose to go back to in-person, as long as it can be done safely and with the social distancing, that it will be acceptable. On the budget, we're moving ahead with the budget. The public hearing is on April 19th, and then the vote is on, the referendum vote is on the May 3rd. So please stay informed and learn about the budget and go out and vote. And Kevin and I met with a vendor to review some technology things at the library. We're looking at, more camera placement. We looked at the large meeting room for a Zoom room to hold a hybrid meeting. So they're going to give us a proposal for equipment that we would need to have a hybrid meeting. And we're going to be able to fund that with ARPA funding. So money that we've received through the government relief program. And we also had them take a look at just some other things at the library. One for like a digital display in the lobby area. They're going to give us a proposal on that as well. And I think that's it. I think the rest I'll report under technology.
Okay.
Thank
Did
you.
anyone have any questions for Donna?
John, I had heard that town meetings are canceled for the rest of this week. Is that true?
Town meetings.
Meetings or hearings. Somebody said they thought they saw something on the website, but I haven't had a chance to go on it.
We had
No,
the
it's not true.
selectmen's meeting from last week was canceled. The selectmen meet next Thursday, the 21st. There was a planning and zoning meeting tomorrow night that has been canceled, and
Okay.
they're holding a special meeting. I'm not sure of any other meetings. I'm on vacation, so if anything came up today that I wasn't in work, so I might not be aware of something, but I'm not aware of anything else.
Historic Properties is meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
And Commission on Aging is meeting for their short meeting on Wednesday.
Okay. Well, they said something was posted, so maybe it was, you mentioned planning and zoning. Maybe it was basically that one.
It might have been the selectmen's meeting out the last week.
Okay.
Because last week, I know Code was supposed to attend that meeting and
Right.
we had to cancel.
Mhm.
So the calendar on our website is pretty up to date. So that
Okay.
should have any meetings, any meetings that we're aware of, that she
Okay.
keeps it pretty up to date.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Any
for
other
coming
que-
on your vacation.
Yeah, the background looks different. Now that I look at you.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to the Board of Selectmen. There we
Yes,
go.
as you all know, we've had a pending resignation. So in my role of trying to find people to replace in order to keep our board full, you all know that Emily Sear had been wanting to join a few months back. So with this new vacancy, I did speak with her and she is very much interested. She would like to join. She is not observing tonight because she and her husband and their 3 kids are down in Disney World. But otherwise, she will be happy to attend the next meeting and she really wants to join the board. And
Now,
that's all I
Gail,
have to say.
You're presenting this, though, as the Douglas Library Association, right? Not Board of Selectmen.
Correct. So I should have,
Okay,
I should have changed. When she said Board of Selectmen, I should have said, Pat, may I speak as an association member? Okay. I didn't
I'm
do
glad
that.
that was
Smack my
clarified.
hand.
Just put on a different hat. So,
Because I was
I've
saying,
got a lot of those.
yeah, I know.
anything else, Gail?
No, that's it, Pat. Thank you.
Okay, going to the chairperson, I really don't have anything to report, except I've been on trial. So I've sort of been crazy, but I'm off now, so I can start having a life again. Okay. That would end the reports. Moving on to old business. The first thing on the agenda is building updates, which I believe we have a handout about.
Yeah, in your packet, I have a quick outline with just what's going on with the building. So I didn't include the big building spreadsheet because there wasn't really much to update on that as far as projects. So the roof, under grant funds, the State Bond Commission appropriated the grant funds for the roof. Those are approved. That sets off a timer where we need to sign with a contractor to do the work within the next 18 months. The building committee has been working to fine tune the invitation to the bid documents to make sure they meet all of the requirements. And the Connecticut Commission on Human Rights and Opportunities, they gave us a list of requests, and they asked that we return them by April 20th. So
Who are you working with at CHRO?
oh, I don't remember the individual's name. They sent a letter to myself, Andy, and Richard Steiner Thursday or Friday, and we've
Okay.
been putting together the list. So we have a draft letter to go back at this point.
Are we pretty much in compliance?
Yeah, no, we've been kind of aware of what they've been aware of what needs to be done because it's going to be a state contract, from the beginning. So it's just making sure everything is reported correctly and that they know that we're doing everything right. So everything that they asked for were things that we've provided the state library in the past, or information that was largely readily available. So far so good, but you never know until you're officially approved. Also with the roof, so Pat and I were appointed to the library roof building committee as discussed in our March meeting, which fulfills a requirement of the grant funds.
Kevin, are you going to let me know when those meetings are?
as soon as I know.
Okay.
You're on the email list for it as well. I shared your contact information with Richard
I haven't
Steiner.
seen anything yet, so I have to
Nothing,
go get, I have to get sworn in, so I have to go do that, so.
yeah, it just takes like, 2 minutes. It's very quick. But yeah, I haven't seen a meeting come through specifically for that yet. There's been other building committee things, but it's largely had to do with the HVAC as opposed to the roof.
Okay,
So I'm sure it'll be coming.
thank you.
So regarding the HVAC, so at the request of the building committee, ESC spent more time working here to get the HVAC units to function in a manner consistent with what S&E building systems controls are calling for. While they were there, they repaired an exhaust fan and they brought an air balancer in to get readings from the affected portion of the building. And it seems like things are headed in the right direction there. The building committee also sent a request to the town manager's office to ask for funds to purchase the dehumidification sensors that were proposed by S&E, and then also to perform a hot water balancing for the system. Nothing's changed on the windows. The estimated arrival date is still May 5th. So those ought to be coming in the next couple of weeks. And then under flooring, so the LVT that's been lifting up in the kitchen and the community room, Northeast Flooring took a look at it, and they lifted up some of the tiles and they found some moisture in the kitchen and the community room, mostly just like the glue is very wet. I'm not sure if it never dried or if it got wet and redissolved, but that's the reason for it kind of arcing up and not sticking correctly. So Willie is communicating with them right now to find a way to remedy the situation. Because, where there's some moisture issues in the basement, but it's not like we're getting flooding or anything like that. So whether it's a fix where just some drainage needs to be, a little bit reoriented and it's relatively simple, or whether they can install the flooring with a different adhesive that isn't so sensitive to moisture. They're working that out.
I guess I have a concern about the moisture issue. I thought that was one of the things that we were so concerned about when we were talking about flooring and when we were talking about the HVAC system, so did this not get corrected when we were doing all the work, or is there another issue?
Well, it was brought up when we talked with the flooring people, when we decided what to put down where, and that the flooring was supposed to work with, they did a moisture study on the floor, and they said that this manner of install would work for the flooring. So the humidity is a little bit different from the wetness on that's kind of seeping in, perhaps the foundation. We're not 100% sure. So the humidity is a different issue that wasn't addressed with the HVAC the way that we hoped that it would be. And that's why the building committee is asking to get some dehumidification sensors installed on the first floor of the building. So what that will do is it will allow the boiler to run all year round when it needs to and pull the moisture out of the air in the building. But the moisture in the air isn't what's causing the floor tiles to arc up. That's moisture that's kind of coming in from under the foundation.
Have they looked into that drain problem that from several years ago when it was plugged up and people were unaware of it?
Not officially, but it's on the agenda for something to look through. It's something I've spoken with Willie about, and perhaps if that's the thing that's clogged up, we could then unclogging that would mean that we wouldn't get any seepage. But if that's operating correctly, this may just be a function of the building being built where it's built at the sea level it's built at, or in the relation to the water table it's built at, I should say.
Did anyone else have any questions regarding the building updates? Okay, moving on to the Poet Laureate.
The Poet Laureate is on hold for another month because Gail, I'll blame this one on Gail because she's so busy with budget meetings and so on that we're postponing our get together for another, month or whatever.
Okay, so there really isn't anything to report. Okay, moving on to the ACLB Board Assessment Tool.
Pat, we're up to policy making now. The first thing on policy making is to make sure that the board works with the library director on effective and relevant policies. So if you ask what that is, you might say, well, one of the things that we need to be careful about is unattended, it's an example, unattended child policy. So it's for the safety and protection of the library, the patrons in it, and the town. So unattended child policy would mean, and this is an issue I've seen happen, mom drops her kids off and goes off to do grocery shopping. You cannot have children under 12 in the building alone. So that's an example of a policy. The policies also should reflect the needs of the community, as far as people being able to attend the library and be able to sit there and read for a few hours instead of being told that and I've seen this happen in some towns, oh, you've been here a long time, what are you doing? The library staff should know what the policies are, and the Board of Trustees should be behind them in anything that they do. And when it comes to the policies being reviewed, they should be reviewed by the Board of Trustees annually, but they also should be available at any moment for any public member to come in and go up to the desk and say, I want to see the policies. I haven't heard of that happening in the last few years, but about 5 years ago, that was happening. So that's all to say on that. It's all very simple. Anyone has any questions? I'm here.
I have a separate one and I hope I won't get in trouble. Are we
Mary
having?
Ann, I'm sure you're going to get in trouble. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I'm going to ask anyway, you know that.
Of course.
Is ACLB having a conference this year?
If you're talking about the annual conference in
November.
beginning of November, we've been
Right.
talking about that, where we have to guarantee 80 people at that price. And if we contract for a couple of keynote speakers, that's another several $1,000s. So we haven't done it yet because we're very
Okay,
concerned
good.
with the way the number of cases of COVID are increasing. And as well, Mary Ann, you've been there enough, we get 125 people or so, but we need to guarantee 80. What we are doing right now is developing, and I have a meeting on Thursday, we are developing new conferences with new PowerPoints, and we're busy working on that because we want to throw several of those out to our members, just in case we can't have one. The other thing I propose to my executive board is, who says we have to have it at the end of October, beginning of November? Perhaps we could have the conference next spring, because we might not have a better idea of the status of COVID and whether or not we could get a decent number of people. So that's where we are right now. And thanks for asking, Mary Ann.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Thanks.
Sorry,
It's a good conference.
Sorry. Gail, for that, is it ACUB as in boy?
No, ACLB, that's the Association of Connecticut Library Boards. It's a
Thank you.
statewide organization.
Okay.
Okay. So that is that, I guess, unless anyone has any.
I have
I hear a
comment.
question from Althea.
Yeah, more of a comment, and I may have mentioned this before. Gail reminded me of it when she was reporting. As far as policies, I know we do need to have a review just to refresh our memories and everything. One of the other boards that I'm on, for each meeting, 'cause we have a ton of them, a ton of policies, that we do so many each meeting. So it
Oh.
just makes it easier, and suggestions are made. So you don't have, you get it ahead of time, you look at them, and there might be just a tweaking of a little bit of language or something, but we space it out throughout the whole year, each year.
Yep.
So that might be something that could help us.
That sounds like a great idea, actually.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful idea because we can't go through that whole policy manual.
No.
So,
So, I mean,
but if
how would we set that up? Anyone?
You might start with the most pressing ones or the oldest ones. Kevin would probably best lead us with, or tell us what he thinks. with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think in general, I've been looking at the policy manual when something seems like it needs to be addressed. I bring it before you with a suggestion. In terms of ones that are outdated, I know there are some things with the room use policy that I think could be tweaked a little bit. Other than that, there's not anything that I know we need to make a policy for when we eventually circulate laptops. That'll be something coming through. I would say maybe we could, for the most part, just start at the beginning and work through. There's a lot of policies, but there's not that many that I think we would be overwhelmed with it.
Mhm. We usually just, I'm on the board, the credit union board, and a credit union board. And we just take so many at a time, just lump sum, and, go through it at each meeting. So, and that just, as a board member, keeps me refreshed too.
It's a good
And
idea.
I think we all probably could use that as well. So it's not just, it's updating the policies, but also ourselves.
Familiarity with them. Yeah, I understand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would it be possible to divide the policies up into 10 sections or something that could be distributed?
Let me take a look, and I could do a standing policy, agenda item under old business, and we could kind of address 1/10 each time.
Yeah, because I think 10 would be a good number since we may miss meetings or something.
Yeah.
And that would make sure we get through all of them. I mean, how many pages is this, by the way?
I check it online, so I don't know how many pages it is printed.
Okay.
we've done so much work on the policies in the last couple of years. My remembrance is it's a hefty document. Because
okay.
And that's, so if you just break it up, and
do a couple
read
at
it-
each meeting.
Right,
Yeah.
and if each person would, you read it ahead of time, sometimes we end up not even having to discuss them, just, are there any questions on it, or, there might be a slight tweaking of language, and that's it, and you move on, and we can pass, a bunch and update them in one night, so.
Kevin, could you look at that and see how it could be broken down and what we could start doing? Because I would like to get familiar with the policies.
Yeah, I'll just look to see how much, if you printed them all out, what that looked like. And I'll cut it into 10 chunks and see how many policies that gets us a month.
I don't know if anyone else is okay with this, but I'm okay with someone sending me a link and then clicking into it.
I was just going to suggest that, Pat, if he would just send it to us. I mean, I know I have it, but because we have some new board members like Colleen, and if we send it out to everyone so they could review it.
Okay. So you can get us a link, Kevin, you think?
Yeah, everything is on the website under, I
I was
think,
just gonna say,
About
it's on
Us
there.
or something. So I can figure out what it is we need to do, and then I can just say, this is the policy page
Okay.
for this policy.
Okay, that sounds great. That would be a good way to start. And
Kevin,
then
this
we
is
can-
a question I should know the answer to, but when you go out on the website, because I haven't gone looking for it. Can you find the policies on our website?
Yeah.
I haven't.
I haven't gone looking for it, so I have no idea.
I never
but it should
noticed
be.
them. I wasn't looking, but I did.
I wasn't
notice
looking
them.
for them, so, I mean, I've been in on the revising of the policies over the last several years, but any member of the public should be able to go to our website and find
Oh,
our
there it
policies.
is.
Right.
Look at
under-
that.
About
Look at
Are
that.
we good?
library policies.
Yeah, we're good.
Doesn't look too bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad. And some of this is
Yeah,
ALA
That's
statements
doable.
and that sort of thing.
not to be stupid, but is there a reason why we don't have them numbered?
No,
Because nobody numbered them. Oh.
yeah, they weren't numbered before.
I mean, a town, it has to be numbered and have subsections, right?
Yeah, thanks, Pat.
Okay, I just thought it was normal. I didn't know. Okay, all right, so we now know what that is, and Kevin, if you could give us some, homework and let us know what we should be prepared for the next meeting.
Sure.
Okay, that'd be great. Okay, let's see, that was policies. Where the heck are we? Oh, grant updates, there we go.
Okay. So just a couple of brief grant updates. The majority of them were under the roof, under the building update. Nothing else to report there. Under Hebron Together Community Fund, I met with the Hartford Foundation to provide feedback on the effectiveness of the grant. Which is a nice meeting. And then our next program in that series is Equity, Power Structures, and Colorblindness, which is a lecture discussion which takes place on April 19th at 6:30, and that's a virtual event. And then the ARPA grant, all the invoices were paid in advance of the spending deadline, which was the end of March. And I'm working on the final report right now, it's due to the State Library on June 1st. But we should probably have it in well in advance of that. It's probably 90% done right now.
Okay, let's see. The budget for 22-23.
Yep, no new information on it, just that the public hearing and the vote are coming up.
Right, remember Donna said to go vote, so we have to go vote. Okay, all right, Hebron views.
So I was asked to put together a document or an article for Hebron views that goes over the same ground that our volunteer opportunities pamphlet goes over. So that's the last page of your packet is a draft of that. I think the Hebron views articles aren't due for a couple more weeks. We have a little bit of time if we want to tweak it. But if you'd like to take a look, let me just see. Bring it up for you.
I don't know, does Human Views come out about quarterly or something? It wasn't too long ago that one came out.
The next one's due out the first week in June.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
So, yeah, they come out quarterly.
I think the deadline, I know Donna would actually know, but I think
I
it's
think the
end of month.
deadline is May 4th or May 6th, that first week in May.
Yeah. So what I've got here, just a brief overview. I made a section for the trustees, the library association, the friends, and then general volunteers. A lot of the copy is, for the most part, it's the same thing that's in the pamphlet. I really didn't make too many changes, but if you'd like more detail or anything in particular added, I'm welcome to any input. We just won't have another meeting before they have to send them in, so it would have to be something that have to be given to me before then.
Somebody has any comments or thoughts on this, please get them to Kevin before the deadline. But I don't see any typos, if that helps.
There is one.
Oh, I missed it. Where is it?
Fulfill under general.
Oh, all right,
volunteers.
yeah, I just saw that. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Any more typos that snuck through? No, I did see fulfill. It just
I'm not
doesn't
sure.
look like, right, it looks like
Oh.
some sort of foreign word, doesn't it?
Under the trustees,
Hmm.
when the library became a town department in 2013, the Douglas Library Board of Trustees was formed. I don't know that that's
It's not accurate.
accurate.
Okay.
Yeah, I read that this afternoon. I said, that doesn't seem like the
So-
right date.
Right. And it all did not happen at the same time.
Mhm.
So when the Library Board of Trustees was formed, when the town took ownership of the library, but prior to that, it was still a town department since the early, the dates, I don't know them off the top of my head,
Mm.
but since early 2000s.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we just need to make sure we get those dates correct and the
What-
chronology
Yeah,
of the events.
Because
so
when the library,
2013 is correct though, right? For
No,
the
it sounds
Library
like-
Board of
It
Trustees?
sounds like it isn't. I mean, the history of it isn't
I
as
don't think
important
so.
as
For the
what
Board of Trustees, it may be, but not for the town department.
Okay,
when the
Library's been a town
association
de-
owned the library, they had from there, they elected a board of trustees from their membership.
oh,
And that was in effect when we had the town meeting and it was voted in and the town actually took ownership of the building and the land. That was when the governing board, we were elected into office, those of us who were on the board. So it's not exactly right. It's kind of hard to sum it up into one tiny little
Mhm.
paragraph. Because
can just
Donna
take
and
out
I
that
worked on that for
clause.
quite a few years.
hmm,
I can just take
There's
out that
been a-
clause and have it
There's
say,
been a Board of Trustees all along.
Yeah.
The association elected a board from their membership.
But they were separate. I think that's what you're trying to show, that
Yeah.
there's now a board of trustees and there is the library associates.
instead of making it a historical statement, let's just make it a statement of fact.
exactly.
The Douglas Library Board of Trustees is the governing body.
Right.
I would vote for that, Pat.
That makes sense.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah, I made the notes on here, so I'll
Okay.
adjust that.
And then we don't have to worry about the history.
Or the
And
ins
then we
and outs.
go on and make, present statements about the board, the membership and what they're doing. So that seems to work. Okay, anyone else had any changes or thoughts?
Oh, not on that, but just, it kind of fits in here in the sense, the last meeting we talked about coordinating letters to the editor of the River East by board members, and that we could take turns doing that and highlighting various aspects of the library. Do we want to be more formal about that, and people sign up or volunteer for, and I don't know how often you want to do it. Is that maybe something we could think about for the next meeting?
Can we put that on the agenda for the next meeting, Kevin?
Sure.
It might be, for general stuff, we could get sort of like a folder of letters ahead of time that we could just submit.
Mhm.
So, if anybody feels like writing a letter praising us or something like that, we could
Yeah.
just put it in a folder, and then we could always have that as a fallback about writing a
Okay.
letter.
Okay.
So, and present stuff, we'll just have to do it as we do it, as it happens.
Okay.
Okay, I think we made it to new business.
I
Maple,
think,
whoops,
well, I
sorry.
think this form should say Dr. Charles J. Douglas Trust, because he's always the Dr. Douglas.
What's the name of the trust? Anybody really know?
Yeah, it says it right here, Charles J. Douglas, but I think it should be Doctor.
Well, we should, whatever the name of the trust is, that's what we should use. And I have no idea what it is.
I do. I have it in my papers.
Yeah, we
It's,
just got it someplace.
I have it right here.
Because when you change the name of a trust, that's, so, once a trust is created, it has a name. And to
This
change.
trust
it,
was created in 1946.
And it gets very difficult to change trust. All sorts of voting stuff and state stuff and law stuff. So we should stick to the name as it exists.
You sound like a lawyer.
Yeah, a trust lawyer. I run into this every once in a while. We have a trust that's like a husband and wife, John and Mary Smith Trust, and then one of them dies. So what do you say, John and the late Mary Smith? I mean, it's really hard sometimes. So you're stuck with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Going on to new business, it would be Maple Fest.
I don't have anything additional to report on Maple Fest that I didn't go over in my other report. So unless there was other discussion about, impressions from other people that were there.
Okay, Hebron views, have we done that completely
Yeah.
now?
Yeah, I moved it up to old business and didn't delete it out of new business. So,
Okay,
error.
side garden.
Yep, side garden is me. So I'm gonna share my screen. So we have a garden that was built a few years
Whoa.
back. It's on the side of the building, abutting or next to the American Legion. I think it's, part of it is on the American Legion's property.
Is that what that is?
That's
Oh my God.
yeah. So a raised garden bed. We used to have a part-time library staff who worked with teens, and they did the garden every summer, was like an activity for them, and they would donate the food that they got to the food bank. But there hasn't been a lot of interest in that for the past several years. We don't have any staff members that are that interested in taking on the project. The people that are currently doing teen programs aren't that interested in gardening. And a couple years ago, they did try and see if they could get some programs around gardening going, and it just didn't take off. I think partly because they didn't have the passion for it. So last year, a couple of students of UConn's Master Gardener program, they took care of the garden as part of a project that they have to do. They have to do a certain amount of community service. And they've remained kind of active with it a little bit since then. But it's the opinion of one of those women that that the garden probably should be torn down because it's not functional in its current state. It's large and you can't access that whole middle area without walking on it. So design-wise, if it was something we were going to use, her suggestion was that it should be rebuilt into 2 smaller beds, or just remove it completely. And I think there was another organization that she thought might be interested in taking it if it was something we wanted gotten rid of. So I was talking to her about this, and I don't have a whole lot of attachment to it. I don't think anybody really does at this point. I wanted to take the temperature of the board to see if there was anybody that felt this was, a foundational thing that we should be holding on to and still using, or if you felt comfortable with us getting rid of it, then I would look into the next steps as far as that and start asking other questions. But I wanted to come to you first.
Does anyone have any thoughts on it?
Well, I remember that Ben Sarnowski, a young man who grew up in Hebron and lived here for a long time, had a lot to do with it and building it, and was on the library staff. I kind of hate to see it go, but I'm just wondering if there might be, if we put the word out, if someone else would be interested in taking it over. But it sounds like it would be some work in terms of having to maybe break it into 2 smaller parts and so forth.
The soil does not look good.
Yeah, well, that might be just needing nutrients and turning over or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
One thought might be to see if there's people, we have a small community garden up at Burnt Hill Park, but
Mhm.
maybe we offer a couple, you know, partition this off and offer a couple community garden spaces for people that live in the center of town that might not have space in their yard or the ability to do it in their yard. Just a
Is
thought.
that something, how would we go about that? Contact the garden people? The community garden people? Anybody have any thoughts?
No, just put it in the newsletter or on the website or
Okay,
in a letter to the editor. You know, maybe the first letter to the editor.
Is there water available for it?
Yeah, not super close to it, but there's a spigot kind of down the other end of the building towards the rear parking lot.
Okay, and the other question was, I didn't know if maybe Michelle from Pollinator Garden would be interested in doing something.
Okay.
At one point she was, at one point, and then later on she wasn't.
Okay,
before
And I
we
would think
do anything, I think we should pass it by the community garden before it's removed to see if they could use it,
Okay.
because there is no space downtown, really.
Either way.
You know,
it
the
probably has to
community
be rebuilt.
garden. The community garden was barely used last year. So
Oh,
Historic Property Commission has spoken to, oh, what's his name? Anyway, Parks and Rec. And we're
Craig?
meeting with him, Craig Bryant, yes.
Mhm.
And we're meeting with him Wednesday morning about that because we, Historic Properties, would like to assume responsibility for some little part of it, since that's Burnt Hill Park, and Burnt Hill is Indian, is indigenous, and the way they grew things and burned things up there. So we think it's appropriate that we do some sort of historic garden, Three Sisters system, you know, right there. So anyway, we're meeting with Craig on Wednesday morning and for about a little portion of it. I could represent both groups and mention this raised garden at the library, not for us, but whatever.
do you think that they would be interested in putting a historic garden in here?
No,
Okay, that answers that question. That was quick.
I mean, we're putting it next to, up in Burnt Hill and next to the Peters House for those two historic reasons.
I think the community garden idea is the idea we should be pursuing. That's a good idea.
I do too.
So would you like me to mention it to Craig,
Would you please?
that we could add two, you know, a couple of plots, or I don't know how large that raised garden is, how many little plots it could make.
How big is it, Kevin?
My guess is 12 by 12.
It's a shame it can't be divided into two.
Yeah, that would be the thing.
Oh,
If
it can
to
be.
usable, it would have to be divided into two. And even
Well, it could be,
still,
but you know, you'd have to take all the dirt out and then get the boards. and
No,
put
you
posts
could
and-
just put a
Go down the
board right
middle.
across the middle.
Well, that doesn't get rid of the problem of not having enough reach to reach into
Access,
the
yeah.
middle of the garden, like to weed without falling on your face.
it's also eroding at the corner. So
I
no
see
matter
that.
what's being done with it, it really should be.
Oh, maybe that's something Public Works can help with.
Wait a minute.
They'd love it.
Yeah. Well, who's the guy that has the farm in Public Works?
Old McDonald.
No,
No, you're talking about Tom.
yeah. Would he be interested in doing something there?
That wouldn't be large enough for him to amount to any, you know?
I know it wouldn't amount to anything, but it sure would be good advertising for whatever it is, East Willow Farm or whatever it is. I don't know, because he really is, you know, right now I have enough wildflowers to seed that entire garden, wildflower seeds. I mean, if you want me to come down and sow wildflower seeds in there for the meantime, I have plenty of them. I think I've got enough for 500 square feet. So, you know, I do have the seeds if anybody wants to do that. But, okay.
I thought we were sort of thinking about vegetables that we could
No.
grow and share. And
Yeah, I was thinking more about vegetables and stuff too, but if it ends up that it's just gonna sit there and look like dirt in the meantime.
Yeah, historically, it's just been tough to get people to follow up and take care of.
Take care of it, yes.
Yeah,
So something like wildflowers, that would be, you know, kind of self-seeding and would look okay.
yeah,
You know, that's fine. But if there also isn't a need for it, and there might be another organization that can use it, we could always put grass back here and, you know, think about using this space in another way.
hmm.
Kevin, am I correct in that the walls of this, especially the corners, are decaying and falling apart? And we really should do something with it beforehand?
I haven't noticed that it's structurally unsound. I don't think it's
Okay.
dangerous in a way. I do just
Oh,
notice
no, I
that.
didn't mean dangerous. I just meant could become a big eyesore if it starts decaying.
As it is an eyesore. Yeah,
Yeah, it is an eyesore. I mean, that suffers.
It's an eyesore now, yes.
right. If we could potentially paint it, you know, easily, and, you know, that's pressure treated wood. I'm sure it'll be good for another 10 years or so.
Yeah, and if there's gaps in the corners, they could easily be caulked.
Yeah.
With
Oh, I
flexible
do that all
waterproof
the time.
caulk, but that's no problem. Well, let's see if the you know, the garden people want it, but it might be a good idea just to paint that thing. I mean, that is ugly. I'm sorry. I mean, I know the kids did it, but wow. Okay. Okay, if you wouldn't mind talking to them about, you know, if the garden people would want it, that would be great. And then the historical society would have more room in their garden because, you know, we'd have a neighborhood garden here. Does that make sense? Yes.
this is not Historical Society. I'm talking about
Oh.
the Historic Properties Commission,
Oh,
which is,
historic property,
you know,
yeah.
right next to the Peters house.
Yeah, that would be an ideal place for a nice garden, historical garden there. That would make a lot of sense. So, well, let's see if the you know, the community garden people want it.
Sure.
Thank you.
So Emma, you're going to ask the question at the meeting on Wednesday, but if you need me to follow up or do anything, just let me know.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of I don't really know what the question is because, as everyone says, the shape of that raised bed is quite unfortunate.
Well, do you want me
Yeah.
just to reach out to Craig individually? So you're not trying to like wear two hats at once?
I wouldn't say so. We're going to be there talking about gardens anyway. I mean, we're not going to be there, but we'll be up at the community garden.
So I think the question is just that the library has an unused garden bed, and that would there be a use for it as part of the community gardens?
That would be good.
Right.
That's a good question.
Yeah, that would be the question.
It's an unfortunate shape, size. Hmm.
You know, I keep looking at it, trying to figure out how we would break it apart, but it would be a massive undertaking. Because again, you'd have to take the dirt out and then move it and then put in a new wall or a walkway in between and then put the dirt back in.
Yeah, I wonder if you could use one of the sides as the other, you know, then build it out on the other side, so you'd only have to move half as much of the dirt.
That's a possibility.
But then we don't own more land towards the Legion, and then it becomes more of a hill as you move towards the library building.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks like you could have a good 3 or 4 feet between the two of them if you moved it slightly, each of them slightly to the side. But anyway, okay, so let's wait on getting rid of that and see if we can find a use for it. Okay, the next one is the library value calculator. Oh yeah, I sort of got involved in that. Now, I understand that you know, every time that somebody checks out, something is printed on the receipt that says how much it was worth. Is that correct, Kevin?
Yeah.
Is that how you're using it?
Yeah, it says you saved, this much money. It's essentially the value of all the items that you took out.
Okay. I think I would like to see that used more. I just don't know quite how to do it. And also, is it possible to keep track of everybody and have like a library value each month?
Well, we could always do an average instead of like really looking at every item that was circulated and taking all those values and adding them
Mhm.
together. We can decide what the worth of a circulation is. So whether
Mhm.
we want to say it's the average cost of a book or a movie, or whether we just want to say it's, $7 or something like that, or something we could come up with a value that way. I've seen that before. We have like reference questions, and you can say how much would it cost per reference question for research, for a professional to help you with research and all that sort of stuff.
And access to the online things are, how much would it cost to have a subscription like to audible.com, or Prime, Amazon Prime. Yeah, because I don't think people realize how much value is in the library and how many services you do provide.
Yeah,
And
I'm not
it's
sure.
good money.
I don't think so. Yeah.
So did everybody get a chance to play with the calculator? I did. Yeah, it was fun. Okay. I think maybe I would like to see something that makes us look like we have more worth, and we need a bigger budget. Sorry, Gail.
Well,
No,
when
no,
I
that,
played
I
with
like
it-
that idea.
Yeah,
When I played with it, the total that I came up with, and I didn't think I had used that many services, I thought the number was outrageously high, though.
I think this was developed by was it Massachusetts that's been using it? Kevin?
I think Massachusetts originally maybe developed it. It's through the American Library Association. So I
And
think
they're
they can
pretty
adopt it.
good with the values, correct?
I kind of agree with MA on this
Okay.
front. I think that, to me, the values are inflated to the point to be a little absurd.
Okay,
I think if you check out a book, you didn't save the full cost of the book. I think you checked it out because it didn't cost you anything. And I think it looks, to me, there's something that feels dishonest about it. And I'm not sure how to get like to a more honest number. Like I would feel more comfortable saying like you saved, a quarter of the cost of the book or something like that, because it feels like that's more what the service is actually worth than the full value of the item. So
but
one
when
thing,
when I buy a book, I usually don't keep it. I give it to somebody else. So
Right.
basically I get it, I read it, I give it away.
Mhm.
So it's the same as borrowing it from the library in a weird sort of way. I don't,
Yeah. But then the other person's getting it for $0, and then more people that read that same book, you could kind of say that you're just footing the bill for everybody.
yeah, and then
Me, like,
we're back
I
to
know
the
that we
whole
want to
cost
say-
again.
Yeah, I know that we want to say that we're worth as much as possible, and we are. I think it's very difficult to put a value on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
services that we provide. And I get the instinct to do that, but I've never been a huge fan of it because I always feel that the numbers are very inflated.
Is there a way then that we could give ourselves a value for the services we offer?
I don't know. We would just have to assign what value it is, and then we have statistics to build up what a value would be. But then
Do you-
there are other values on top of it, things like home values and things like that, that doesn't have anything to do with our services, but the fact that we exist and we're a nice building means that
Hmm.
property has more value in the area. If you're within a mile of a library, your house is worth that much more. There's some studies with this.
Well, that's not going to help all of us people that live up here at the north end of town,
No, if your town in general has like a nice library, that affects everybody. But if you're within a certain distance of a library, your value goes up as you get closer to it.
Okay, do you know what values were assigned when they made up the tool for the value calculator?
I don't, but it's easy to figure out. You can just put for one book, it's gonna tell you it's worth $15 or whatever they chose, and then 1 hour of service.
How would I find out how this thing was developed? I mean, and talk to the developers.
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts?
I think that's where it originated.
Yeah, that's what I remember seeing. I will do a little bit more work on this through some libraries in New Jersey that use this in their process. And it's part of their advertising. It's on their online site. It's the first thing when you click on the site, it's the first thing that pops up.
Mhm.
And but they don't use that for strategic planning. But it does make people appreciate the library a lot more. So I'll talk to them about the calculator and see what they think of in terms of the valuation and how they're using it. So I will look into that.
Sure.
Other new business. Oh, nope, no new business. Can we take that picture off now?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. All right.
I have a question. A friend of mine from Columbia gave me a book from the Advanced Readers Edition. And apparently,
Sure.
apparently the Columbia Library has these, and these books are not for sale.
Right.
You get them from the library and, you give them out. I didn't know if we've ever tried that or something that we would like to pursue.
I'm not sure what that is. So Advanced Readers Edition, those are like ARCs? Those are.
They're apparently new books.
There are new books that aren't published yet.
Right.
They're usually not
And
like
they
the
run a
finalized
short
copy.
and and then you get on a list and they send them to you to review and to
Right.
read.
I'm
And
not sure Columbia should be circulating those.
Columbia?
So you said Columbia?
It was Columbia from the Saxon Library.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
that's not the purpose of those books.
Well,
A lot of times they're not finished. They're for marketing
Yeah.
purposes, but to become in the collection, I don't know that you would even say that you necessarily had the real copy of a book.
No,
that
you
came out.
don't. You don't. It doesn't even. I was a member of one of these groups that used to get them at one point, and I always enjoyed getting them. But there were a lot of changes that came about between what I got and what was ultimately published.
Oh,
And
okay.
it really doesn't
I
really
didn't know
look like
this. A friend of mine had gotten it from and she gets them from the Columbia Library. And
Really?
then, and then she read it and she, gave it to me and said, you want to read it, let's pass it on.
Well, the friends end up with them sometimes. And I know that I'm sure we could get on a list to be sent stuff with the idea that we would then.
But what do we do with it once we have it, though?
I mean, I think technically you're supposed to probably destroy it. Because even the friends, it's one of those things that's not for resale. So it probably, technically, nobody's going to care if it's sold for $1, I think, for the friends, but.
Okay. I didn't know all the details.
Yeah, and maybe maybe they have a different thing and it's something different, but that's my understanding of those copies.
Who runs the Columbian Library? Are they also run? Do you know the librarian over there?
I do. I can't think of her name right now, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to cause trouble by pointing out something they shouldn't be doing, though. Yeah.
Well,
okay. Well, if somebody wants to look into that, that's something we can look into. The complimentary copies, and then there's always a bunch. When something's printed, there's always a bunch of complimentary copies that go out too. Like each author gets a certain number of books just to give away. So, or certain organizations will get it. So that's another source too.
Yeah,
if we could get authors interested in giving us books, that would be great too.
Well, you don't want to have authors self-selecting what goes in our collection either. We get to make those
No,
decisions.
no. I'm thinking about auctioning them off.
Yeah. We do get sent books, once in a while, and sometimes they're of value, sometimes they're not. I don't
But
want.
yeah, I mean, I don't think we should, if something you would do anyway, but it might be a source for the friends again. The friends want money, so.
Sure, yeah.
All right,
They do get them if we don't want them, but a lot of times we get them because they can't sell them.
I know, yeah, or they can't give them away, actually.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Next, moving on to the strategic plan committees.
So strategic plan update committee met before this meeting, and we took a look at the goals list that we've been working on. We finalized some of the language of that, and then our next step is to prioritize the goals for the next 5 years. So we're edging closer to putting together a full draft of the plan in the next couple of months, hopefully.
Okay, and does that include safe space, technology, diversity, community, and lifelong learning?
No, we have a proposal for a slightly different setup.
Okay,
Yeah, but it'll be, the goals will be under 4 different categories in our current plan.
okay, so are there reports regarding the other items like safe space, technology, blah, diversity, community?
The idea is that everything will be covered under these 4 categories instead of the ones that we're currently using.
No, Kevin, I think she's asking for the rest of this agenda. Do we have reports for?
Do we have
current-
reports on it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I'm asking, yeah.
yeah. I have one for lifelong learning.
Okay, let's go through them then. All right, does anybody have anything to say about safe space?
Sherry and I talked, and we have nothing new to report.
Cool. How about technology? Donna, is that your baby?
You're muted.
Oh, sorry. We're working on a plan to replace the public computers. So the 8 on the main floor and 4 on the children's floor. We got donated computers from UConn. They're decent computers, still
Good.
with warranty, I believe. We just need to replace the hard drives. So I'm working on a project estimate with Novus to get that set up and done as soon as possible. And then I'm also working on computer replacement plan and hoping to be able to get new computers for the library, the full-time staff this year, but it depends on budget and a few other things that we need to take care of. So that's
So
it
are we-
for
Yeah.
computers.
Are we all going to get trained on the 3D printer? I was wondering, as the board of trustees, we're going to get special training? No, I guess not.
Set up a private training.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they are fun. Okay, how about diversity? Kevin?
Dale and I, we haven't met for that recently.
Okay,
But you have the boot camp coming up this,
But we had a book discussion with the Equity Boot Camp program last week. And then we have the other program coming up a week from tomorrow, which is the lecture program. So we've got programming on diversity.
great.
Are you going to send out a notice for that, Kevin? For the next week or 2?
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
You know.
There's scheduled announcements happening on social media as well. And yeah, anybody that's signed up, I'll make sure that they get a reminder.
Excellent. Community.
I have nothing new to report.
Okay. And then lifelong learning.
Okay, that's me.
Uh-huh.
The movies for adults are continuing on Friday afternoons. They're scheduled right now through May, and you can always get a copy of what's playing at the front desk, and it's on the website. Excuse me. Claire has a program scheduled May 10th, remembering Hvac.
for goodness sake.
That's a good one.
Yeah, Yeah, and it's going to be led by a Connecticut Historical Society, I think, staff member. Just as an aside, I was going through a drawer cleaning things and I found my old Hvac charge card, and I think
Oh my
I have to
God.
undo it once again, just because. The other thing, she's working on a possible June program on female lighthouse keepers, and also hopes to have a watercolor paint night. Those are kind of popular. She's working with the Red Cross for a blood drive to take place in mid-July, and is also scheduling a magic and juggling show for August. I think the person was here once before and was really good.
Okay, great.
So,
Wow, you're busy.
yeah, well, Claire.
Claire's busy. Okay.
Yeah. But I just, once again, say to the trustees, if you can support any of these, tell your friends, about them, or family members, because there are a lot of good things going on.
That's assuming that we have friends, right?
There you go. Maybe that's the problem.
The programs from the Historical Society have been very good.
Yeah.
Okay, and is there anything else we need to speak about tonight, or can we adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
It's 8:30. Can you believe it? We're on time. Go ahead. A second to the motion?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions. Okay, guys. Well,
Have a
thank you
good
very
week.
much.
Have a good week. Enjoy this gorgeous weather.
Oh, have
it's
a wonderful
wonderful.
Easter, everybody, or
Yeah.
Yes.
Ramadan, or
Easter.
Passover, or whatever.
Yeah.
Take
Okay.
care, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good night,
Bye.
everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
I was wondering if I could talk to you for 1 minute.
Oh, sorry, one sec.